Welcome to Gentle Calm. If you have been feeling persistently on edge, even during moments that are supposed to feel restful, you may have quietly assumed that you simply do not know how to relax. You may have told yourself that you need better habits, more discipline, or stronger emotional regulation. It can begin to feel personal. Most of us are taught that calm is something we generate by reducing stimulation. We are told to slow down, unplug, meditate, breathe more deeply, or take time away from whatever feels overwhelming. And to be clear, those practices can be helpful. They can create space, they can lower immediate intensity, they can interrupt spirals. But if you have noticed that the relief is temporary, you are not imagining it. You can take a day off and still wake up with the same low-level tension the next morning. You can clear your schedule and still feel mentally crowded. You can lie down in a quiet room and still sense that something unresolved is hovering in the background. The problem, in many cases, is not that you cannot relax. The problem is that relaxation is not the foundation of calm. Calm is not sustained by temporary softness. It is sustained by structure. Relaxation is a state. Structure is a framework. A state fluctuates. A framework holds. If your internal world lacks structure, your mind will compensate by remaining alert. It will continue scanning for unfinished tasks, unresolved decisions, unclear expectations, and potential disruptions. It will stay active because it does not trust that anything is fully contained. That vigilance does not necessarily mean you are fragile or broken. Often, it simply means that your cognitive environment is undefined. When thoughts do not have clear boundaries, they expand. When responsibilities are not organized, they blur together. When decisions remain unmade, they occupy background space. The mind does not naturally close open loops. If something feels incomplete, it stays active. Activity without direction eventually feels like pressure. That pressure is frequently mislabeled as anxiety. If you attempt to reduce that pressure by forcing relaxation, you are treating the symptom rather than the structure. You may temporarily lower the intensity, but the underlying ambiguity remains. As soon as you return to your daily environment, the scanning resumes. Structure addresses the ambiguity directly. To understand this more clearly, it helps to shift metaphors. A building does not feel stable because it is quiet. It feels stable because it has walls, defined rooms, and load-bearing supports. The quiet is secondary. The architecture is primary. If you remove the structural boundaries of a building and leave only open space, the result does not feel liberating. It feels exposed and unprotected. There is no separation. There is no containment. There is no defined place for anything to rest. Your internal world functions in a similar way. When your obligations, concerns, goals, and unresolved thoughts all exist in the same mental space without distinction, your system cannot relax. Everything feels equally urgent because nothing has been clearly placed. Structure is not rigidity. It is not about becoming overly controlled or obsessively productive. It is about reducing cognitive ambiguity. When you create structure, you are making deliberate decisions about where things belong. You are deciding what will be handled now, what will be handled later, and what does not require attention at all. You are defining edges. Defined edges are stabilizing because they reduce the amount of active monitoring your brain has to perform. Ambiguity requires vigilance. Clarity allows disengagement. If your workday has no defined ending, your mind will continue processing long after you stop working. If your tasks are stored only in memory, your brain will keep rehearsing them to prevent loss. If decisions are postponed indefinitely, they will continue drawing subtle attention. Most people attempt to manage all of this internally. They rely on mental effort to keep track of everything, but the mind is not designed to function as long-term storage. It is designed to process information and then release it. When you use your mind as storage, it becomes congested. Congestion increases speed. Increased speed feels like anxiety. External structure slows the cycle. When tasks are written down in a trusted place, they leave the active loop. When there is a consistent daily review, the brain receives a signal of closure. When priorities are clearly defined, peripheral concerns lose urgency. Closure is calming because it communicates completion. Completion reduces vigilance. Reduced vigilance lowers baseline tension. There is also a more subtle dimension to structure that is often overlooked. Structure reduces cognitive leakage. Cognitive leakage occurs when mental energy drains into unresolved or undefined spaces. You are not actively working on the issue, but it remains partially open. An unanswered message, an unclear expectation, a conversation that needs to happen but has not yet been scheduled. Each of these consumes bandwidth. Bandwidth is finite. When it is scattered, you feel overwhelmed. When it is organized, you feel steady. Calm, in this sense, is not a soft emotional state. It is the result of coherence. Coherence emerges when your internal and external systems align. Your responsibilities have a place. Your thoughts have an outlet. Your day has boundaries. Your decisions have closure. You do not need to overhaul your entire life to begin building this. What you need are anchor points. A defined start to your day that is not reactive. A defined end that includes a brief reset. A consistent location where your thoughts are externalized instead of recycled internally. A clear separation between what is actionable and what is simply noise. Over time, your mind begins to trust the system. Trust reduces the need for constant monitoring. When monitoring decreases, tension decreases. And when tension decreases, calm becomes sustainable rather than temporary. This is why calm does not come from relaxing. Relaxation can support the process, but it cannot replace structure. Without structure, relaxation becomes a short intermission between cycles of mental congestion. With structure, relaxation becomes restorative because there is something solid to return to. If you have been trying to feel calm without first creating order, you have not failed. You have simply been working in reverse. Calm is not the starting point. Structure is. When your life has edges, your mind no longer needs to manufacture them through worry. When there is a system for your thoughts, your brain does not need to rehearse them repeatedly. When your days have defined beginnings and endings, your nervous system receives signals of containment. Containment is stabilizing. You do not need to become a different person. You do not need to eliminate stress entirely. You need stronger internal architecture. And architecture is built deliberately, layer by layer. If you would like to explore this more deeply, I write weekly reflections on Substack where I expand on these ideas in a slower, more contemplative format. I have also written a series of books within the Gentle Calm framework that explore the progression from overthinking to internal order in greater depth. And if you are looking for something practical and structured to support this shift, the Gentle Calm Daily Reset Journal was designed specifically to externalize cognitive noise and create daily closure. It is not about productivity, it is about containment. All of these are simply tools. The foundation, however, remains the same. Calm does not come from forcing yourself to relax. It comes from building a structure that allows your mind to rest. Thank you for being here, and stay calm.